everyone. Welcome to another episode of Today with Ray. I'm your host, Rhema T, and this is the show that highlights everyday entrepreneurs. If you are new to the journey, make sure you hit that subscribe button and notification bell so that you'll be the first one to know when new episodes drop and how you can support these local businesses. On this episode, we have guest Brittany Fountain here, and I'm super excited to talk to her because of what she does. It's incredible. So, without further ado, Brittany, how are you today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
No
This
problem.
is fun.
It is so much fun. So I want to go ahead and just jump right in. We have a lot of information to share with her. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what it is you do for business.
Man, that feels like a loaded question. I am Brittany Joy Fountain.
Yeah.
I live here in Wilmington, North Carolina. Just a little personal background. I'm from here.
Yeah.
My husband and I live here with our 3 sons. So they are 8, 6, and 4 years old. So it is a full-blown circus.
Yes.
All the time. All the time. And professionally, I have my business degree. I spent most of my professional life doing sales in some form or fashion. So some credit analysis work. I was with a dermatopathology company. I was with a bank for a while here in town. And in 2021, I stepped away from my work in corporate America and started my journey for what I did not want to be and did not aspire to be, but it's to be an entrepreneur. And we can get into more of that later.
Yes.
Because a lot of people step into an entrepreneurship and they're like, this is what I always wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is what I never wanted to do. And right now I'm a consultant. So in December of 2022, I started my own consulting firm. I do organizational culture work. So it's growth and culture strategy, working with businesses and folks who are solopreneurs, one-on-one, and nonprofits of how can we take their organizational culture and make it a well-executed, well-nurtured culture strategy that's both human-focused but also data-informed.
Okay.
And so what that really means is organizational culture is the set of beliefs and the values, and if you're going to describe it to somebody, it's not so much what you do, it's how you be.
I like that. I like that a lot.
It's not so much that I sell software. It's how is it that I interact with folks?
Okay.
Whether the folks that I work with or the folks that are my customer or shareholders, onlookers, how is it that I conduct my business?
Yeah.
So how do I be? And so how can we take that and how can we make sure that we are actually driving focus to this? A lot of folks do a really great job of naming it. They say, you know, this is our business where we put people first. Well, what does that look like in action?
Right.
And how are we holding people accountable to that? And what are the changes that we can make to our language or to our process that could bring all of this in a better alignment? And what happens when we do that is it becomes an approach that grows the business from a place of ease.
Right.
So you have customers that have an increased trust and loyalty, so they'll be able to refer you somewhere else. You have employees who have a better, just a better stronghold for who they are and why they operate within this business. So it reduces churn and it increases engagement. And then from a reputational standpoint, it just creates a better alignment of what this company is and the connection that folks have with it for not only transaction purposes, but for, you know, reputational and community purposes. So, it's been a really fun journey.
Yeah.
There's a lot of twists and turns that got me here.
Right.
But I think like a lot of things and probably a lot of folks that you talk to and for yourself, and once you are in a place, it's easy to look behind and see the dots and the threads that connected to get you there.
Absolutely.
And that is very much my story.
Wow.
I know. How was that? That was a lot.
No, that was the best introduction that I've had to do in a while.
That's right.
I do want to touch back, and you kind of mentioned that you did not want to get into entrepreneurship.
Very much, no.
Walk us through that story or that journey, the beginning point of 2022. How is it that you looked at it like, I don't want to do this, but like I have to at this point.
Yeah.
So how did that look for you?
Yeah. So I did not want to do it mainly because so much of my work had centered around helping small business owners.
Okay.
So whether it's through marketing techniques and software that's available to them, or teaching doctors how to do certain biopsies and coding that would help them propel their business forward.
Right.
And then again, I worked for a bank for 7 years. So it was literally providing the capital to small businesses so that they can achieve their dreams.
Right.
And so they can impact their communities. So they can make it through COVID. So there's all these things that were fantastic, and they were really uplifting. But in that same breath, like, I sat in rooms with people as they cried because it didn't work out.
Wow.
Or because there was a tragedy in their family that didn't allow them to move forward. And so there are lots of big wins that happen with entrepreneurship, but there's a reality that it's hard.
It is.
And I've been there, and I've seen that, and I've held people, and I've watched, absolute devastation come to what people have been hoping for. And I was like, no thanks.
Yeah.
Like, like, I grew up as one of 3 daughters with a single mom. She worked 3 jobs.
Right.
She was also a banker. And I'm like, I've seen where this goes, and I'm just not willing. Like, no thanks. Well, prior to me creating my own LLC and launching my business, I was having conversations with other businesses about this work. And it got to the point with conversations where a role does not exist like this in a business.
Right.
Now, I knew that. This was a need that I had seen through my personal experience, but also with the business world at large. And they were having a hard time getting approval of how this looks on their P&L. Like, what is the role that we put this girl into in order to do this work? Because the work is necessary.
Yeah.
But the business case for making it an actual full-time position. So one of these organizations said, well, can we contract you? And I was like, okay, the need is there.
Yeah.
I know without a shadow of a doubt that this is happening. Will I be brave enough to step out and do it?
Right.
And I was like, yeah, like, I believe strongly enough about this to where I will make this so that, yes, you can contract me, but also I'm going to take that a step further, and I'm going to put myself out there for the public at large, and so they can work with me as well. And if after 12 months was the period that I gave myself, if after 12 months I don't have a single client, it was still a success.
Yeah.
Because I believe in what this is and the impact that it has. And there are decades worth of data to show that I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
that we would be fine. And it was. So, made that leap of faith, did all the paperwork that was required, to start a business. Because, y'all, you do need the paperwork.
You have to have the paperwork, people.
Get your house in order. And within the first month, I had my first client and my first speaking engagement. Wow. And I was like, okay, we're going to do this.
Yeah.
So that's how it started for me.
Yeah, no, I think that's a beautiful testament, because a lot of the entrepreneurs that I've talked about or talked to, it's always that leap of faith. The whole premise of the show was to help people realize that entrepreneurship isn't something really to be glamorized over, that, these are human beings that took a leap of faith, sometimes using their own savings. And off camera, you were talking about how this is not the time to step off the gas.
Right.
And really leaning forward, especially like you said, like, that there's a need out there. So talk to me about that statement in itself that you were saying, like, this is not the season, like, to step off the gas, especially when that this is something that most businesses need.
Yeah. So my background, again, comes from a lot of big business. So big business, corporate America, publicly traded companies. And I have a very soft spot for that.
Yeah.
So, again, my mom was a banker for 25 years. She also worked for a large company. And big business and corporate America is sort of demonized in a big way. Like, they don't care about people, let them burn. And I just have an awareness where I'm like, no, it does not have to be this way. And I know for myself, like, we need big businesses. If I'm going to buy a house, I need a mortgage. I need a bank who can provide that to me. So we need these companies. They don't need to go away completely. Like, there's an entire economy that depends on them just as much as we depend on like a small business owner. So that was my heartbeat for this type of work, is how can we put this into a large corporation so that there can be a ripple effect to the people that work there, and to the communities that they live in, and to the families that they have, and so on and so forth. And this past year has been fantastic. So, you know, I have small businesses that I'm working with, nonprofits that I work with, solopreneurs that I'm working with. And they are not the big business and the corporate America.
Right.
But it's been great. And it's been readily available. So there's two sides to the coin. Of I could settle into this. I could get into the rhythm of what this looks like. And I could be very happy and know that I'm having impact. But I know that's not why I started.
Okay.
And so when I talk about keeping your foot on the gas and keep pushing, it's, you know, I'm 100% grateful for what's happened. But I also know that there's that little fire within me that says, don't stop.
Right.
Like, this is where it gets tough, but this is where it gets good because this is where you want to be. And so I think it's just remaining cognizant of that, especially on the hard days.
Yeah.
Of, you know, we have to keep pressing.
Right.
And if there are days that you want to take your foot off the gas, I think that's fine too.
Yeah.
But keeping goals and purpose and of why you began front of mind, I think is just really important for all business owners.
Yeah.
And for me, that's where we're going.
Yeah. It's your why, but also how you're showing up for yourself, how you're doing business.
Yes.
Which I think is beautiful in itself, because in the business that you're in, it's almost like you have to lead by example. Like, this is my culture of how I do business.
Yes.
Let me show you by doing it myself
Exactly.
first.
And I think too, I mean, not to get on this soapbox too much, but especially as women, I think when there's a certain level of success that's had, there is sometimes a layer of expectation of you should be happy. Be happy and play small. Yeah. Because you did what needed, you know, you did something.
You did something.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's great. And I think holding that to say, like, I'm not going to play small. This is not where I land. Like, this was great for what it was. And again, I hold gratitude towards that. I'm very big at, you know, accepting, you know, where you are and being grateful for the things that have come, but being willing to say, and I'm not going to play small.
Yeah.
And keep going for it. I think that especially for women entrepreneurs,
right.
That's something that I've really leaned into.
That's beautiful. And we're not stopping here, but we are going to stop for a commercial break. So make sure you tune in on the later half, where we're going to be talking about 40 under 40 and how Brittany is a unicorn. Stay tuned. Hey guys, it's me, Rhema T. Have you been loving the content from Today with Ray? Well, while I'm working on season 4, make sure you head to the YouTube page and watch all the previous seasons. There's so many gems, so many inspiring stories, so make sure you head there. Oh, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Hey guys, we're back with the second half of the interview with Brittany here. I hope that you guys were writing notes, because she was slamming y'all with so many jewels in the first half of this video. But in the second half, we really want to lean into like how she does business, and she's so incredible that her foot was on the gas to the point where you received 40 under 40.
I know. That was so nice.
We actually were in the class together.
That's right. Class of 2023.
Class of 2023. So walk us through that. Like, how was it to, I don't know, like, if you're like me, like, I don't so much, like, need validation from external sources, but it did feel good at the same time.
Of course.
That, like, you're getting recognized, that you're not crazy. The work that you're doing,
That's right.
Is working. So walk us through, like, how did you feel in that night?
Oh, it was, so I'm a middle child.
Yeah.
So I'm very comfortable playing the background.
Right.
Go ahead and give somebody else the spotlight. Yeah. I'm fine with that. But you're right. I think it's important for us to lean into our own accomplishments.
Yeah.
And it does feel good. It feels good to be affirmed. I mean, I'm a human
Yes.
I have an ego.
Yes.
I like affirmation.
Right.
And so, yeah, it was really nice. And I think, too, the thing that was so beautiful about it is that it wasn't just saying, we celebrate you and your professional accomplishments. Mm-hmm. It was this multifaceted recognition of, I see you in your business, and I see the impact that you're having on your community, and I see what that's doing for us as a city.
Yes.
And I see what it's doing for us, both in the economy, but also as a character.
Right.
As, not, oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
But like the actual integrity of what this town offers. And that was really important to me.
Yes.
Because, my business is named after myself, similar to you.
Right.
Because it is what I believe to be true today.
Yes.
And as we learn more and as we unlearn and as we relearn things in life, my business might change. It might look differently. And so I didn't want to name it, organizational growth strategy with Brittany.
Right.
So being able to be recognized for like the multifaceted nature of us as people, I think was really special.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. Now, I have a funny question. Honestly, when you were on the stage, did you hear what they said about you?
No, ma'am.
Same. So for anyone that doesn't know, when you walk out, you're on this stage, and they're reading a card about like your accomplishments and like your accolades and everything. But same, I actually asked Laura for my card so I can read what they actually said.
That was so smart. I saw what was written. So I'm wondering if maybe they used something similar,
like the pamphlet or the news. No, it's totally different.
Oh, that's delightful. I should have. No, but even the short bio that they wrote whenever they announced it, I was like, this is lovely. Who said this about me?
Exactly. So, 40 Under 40 was great. I was telling Vance, my producer, off camera that my son broke my award.
Oh, my gosh. Look, y'all, they were these glass, sort of like concave, very thin.
Yeah, they were like
very
curved thin. And small, thin.
So I totally believe that. Yeah.
I was just like, oh.
It's kind of poetic though,
Is
it? Like, well, it's like you won, but it was never about the award,
It looked really nice next to all of my other things. I'm not gonna lie to you. So
we're gonna get you another one, but this
I'm gonna contact the chamber and say like, hey,
can you tell me who did these?
Can you tell me? So, which leads me like as a woman, as an entrepreneur, but also as a mom, the multi layers that we have to go through. How does that look for you? I shared a brief story of how it looks for me if my kid's breaking my accomplishments.
No. So, I mean, a big part of my business is I say I want to drive human connection.
Yeah.
So, y'all probably know, but we are in an official epidemic of isolation and loneliness.
Yes.
So much of our lives have been built on rugged individualism, and that's carried over to our professional lives as well, and that's just not sustainable. And we know that now from a medical standpoint, from a societal standpoint, from a technology standpoint. There's so many layers of data that show us that I feel very unapologetic about the layers of my humanness that come into every facet of my life. Right. So, as example, this summer I was on a Zoom call with a new client, and I told my boys, I was like, look, YouTube, do your thing. I'm going to keep this to a tight 30 minutes. Yeah. Like, we're going to be fine. Like, kids love YouTube, right? Like, this should be, like, very easy. And within the first 7 minutes, I hear, like, bang, crash.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, this is happening.
This is happening.
Stomping up the stairs. And I'm just like, hi, I'm going to be muting this for just a moment. Thank you. And in that same breath, it normally takes me a 2 business day turn time for certain things. Yeah. And I said, as you're aware, I have children home right now. It is summer break. So it would normally be 2 business days. It's going to be 4.
Right.
And just being very transparent about this is me. This is all of me. This is
Right.
this is the fullness that I can bring to this world and to you, right? Without you being absolutely terrified.
Right. Right.
But yeah, I just think it's really important, with boundaries, of course, with reason, of course, but let's not act like we are not people that have other life happening to and with us.
Yes.
And I think people really appreciate that.
I agree.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely lets me put my guards down.
Yeah.
When I know that there's somebody sitting across from me that's like, oh, honey, I get it.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, great.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
No, I think that's important, especially when you talked about, excuse me, the isolation, just having that understanding as we have this interpersonal connection that, like, at the same time, I'm human.
Yeah.
And, like, life, it lifes sometimes.
Yeah, life is lifing.
Right. This is only one hat of who I am in totality. And, like, I can, like, put this hat down for business. I can never put down a hat as a parent. So, like, the fact that people are understanding is such a blessing.
Right. Absolutely.
So I think it really helps define, again, as you're helping them learn how they do business, I think in moments like that, it shows, oh, you're caring. Oh, let's establish that in your business and lean into that. Or, like, you're understanding. If they didn't show that, I would have been like, you know what?
Exactly. And even as we go to, like, through our community, instead of asking the question, like, what is wrong with you?
Right.
If somebody's rude to you at a drive-through, or, somebody cuts you off on Market Street, which happens all the time. People. Come on.
A small part of Market Street also.
I think reframing that question to, not what's wrong with you, but, like, what happened to you?
Yeah.
Like, because maybe their kid just interrupted their call.
Right.
Or maybe they have a sick parent. Or, maybe they just failed an exam. Or maybe. I just think that layer of awareness is really helpful to all of us navigating this together. And so I'm happy to share that with people as appropriate.
No,
I'm like, look, it's a mess over here, too.
No, that's amazing advice. Anyone that's an entrepreneur but also has or is multifaceted in their life, I think kindness goes a long way.
Everywhere. Yes. Yeah. I mean, honestly, it covers a multitude of sins.
Right.
If you can be nice and make me laugh, if you can make me laugh, if you can be nice and make me laugh, like, we're going to do everything.
Right.
Yeah. I will roll for you so hard.
We're going to be locked in with those two things. So it's funny because not only did you say that you're an entrepreneur, you're a mom, but you also mentioned in the beginning of this that you're a local Wilmingtonian, which that's what I mentioned when I said that she's a unicorn. So I think that the powers in the universe just align crazy because you have 3 local Wilmingtonians here in the building right now. And as we know, like, Wilmington is exploding with a whole bunch of transplants. It's becoming this business hub. So to find 3 people that have actually been born and raised here is wild. Yeah. So talk to us as a local, the changes that have been happening here and how that looks like as a local entrepreneur here.
Yeah. So Wilmington, in terms of population, is 3 to 4 times what it was when we were growing up.
Yeah.
And you will hear folks who say, like, it's getting so big, or, it's getting so, like, when I was young, I didn't have to pay to park at the beach. And it's like, look, there are certain things that we don't love. I don't love paying $5 an hour to park at the beach either.
Right.
However, Wilmington as a whole is growing entrepreneurially. Yeah. It's growing from a corporate standpoint. It's growing from restaurants and retail and things that we have access to. Right. And that's beautiful. If people want to come here and they want to bring their talents and their treasures and make our town bigger and better and more diversified, and I say yes. I say come. I think this is fantastic. Now, I wish that we had a better infrastructure for traffic? Of course. Of course.
Of course.
However, I think there's there's just the upside for what the growth has brought, that I think if you can keep that in mind, if you can keep your eye on that, it's fine to take 10 extra minutes to go somewhere. Yeah. Like, you're still not getting on a highway. Like, everybody relax, calm down. But I think it really has been beautiful. But it is a big change.
It is.
Mayfair was horse farms.
Yeah.
Military cutoff was actually a cut through.
It's in the name. It wasn't just
so my high school, I went to Hoggard High School.
Boo!
I know.
I'm just kidding. No. I went to Hanover, so like there's a deep rivalry there. But
my mom went to Hanover.
Okay, great. She makes up for it.
But Hoggard, our graduating class split because Ashley High School was built.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's one of those things where it's like there's growing pains no matter where you are.
That's true.
But look at New York City in the 80s versus New York City now. Like, growing can also be a really good thing.
Yeah.
So, I like it.
On that note, I don't wish Wilmington to be New York.
No, and we never will be.
Maybe a solid Charlotte.
Yeah.
But even that, I feel is...
No, well, I mean, so here's the good thing, right? So we are only so big.
Yeah.
We can grow up. There's not a whole lot of density to be had, at like eye level. So, and that'll also take time. So I think there's still a lot of growth to be had because eventually we will start going vertical.
Yeah.
But what a sweet little spot to be nestled between the Cape Fear River and Wrightsville Beach, Carolina Beach, Curie Beach, whatever your preference is. It's just a very sweet little bubble.
Yeah.
That we just get little glimpses of access to other things that we never had before. So if you are coming to Wilmington, we'd love to have you. But bring your talents, bring your treasures, make it better. Don't come here complaining. We don't need any of that.
Right. It's always like the
come here with the good energy.
People that come is like, then they complain. No, I think that's beautiful. And I was going to follow up with, as a local, for people that are coming in, like, where's your go-to spot?
Oh, man. For food, for everything?
For everything. So if someone is like, hey, I'm thinking about moving to Wilmington, where would it be like, oh, you have to go here?
Okay. So if we're going to do, like, coffee, right? So I would say the Maroon Monkey.
Of course.
Which is also owned by
Elevate.
Maggie, who owns Elevate. Bespoke Coffee, which is on the corner of 2nd and Princess. And there's a new spot that's just opened up in the Soda Pop District, and it's called the Ibis. I'm going to say Ibis, and maybe it's Ibis, and I'm not really sure. But it is delightful. It's the same owners that own the Starling Bar.
Got it. I haven't been there yet.
Now we're going to segue, right?
Yeah.
So the Ibis is coffee, but then it converts to cocktails as the day goes on. Okay. And they have like a vinyl record, like DJ kind of situation. It's a whole vibe. The Starling is cocktails.
Okay.
Right? So go ahead and do that and then head over there. Now for food. Okay. Here's a story.
Oh. I love stories.
My uncle owned the building that Flamin' Amy's Burrito Barn on Oleander is in prior to Flamin' Amy's taking over.
Yeah.
So when they came in to change it over to Flaming Amy's, I was not old enough to work there. But I'd worked previously with my uncle.
Yeah.
Under the table. That's what we do.
Yeah.
North Carolina. So I wasn't able to, but I was able to help them, like, spray paint the flames that are on the wall and stuff to open up. So we walk in there. My kids are like, did you paint that? I'm like, yes, honey. Your mommy did paint that. But that is my spot. Yeah. Like, for burrito, Tex-Mexy kind of thing. Like, Flamin' Amy's will always be it. And I think, like, that's a nice little, like, local treasure.
It is.
I live near Indochine.
Yeah.
So Indochine's, like, another love for me.
Indochine. See, we had a previous episode where I asked someone where their favorite spot was, and she's not from here. She was from Maryland, and she said that she got a whole bunch of crazy pronunciations. I think she said it was Indochine, like.
Oh.
And I was like, no, girl, it's Indochine. Like,
Yeah.
and I was like, if you're really country and you're from here, you might say, like, Indochine, like. So that's funny that we have someone else on the show that said that spot. No, that really is a local treasure.
Yes, it is.
It's phenomenal, especially when you sit outside. Now I'm gonna have to ask all my guests and if they've been there and see what the vibe is.
Well,
from
look,
them,
and there's a solid chance I just pronounced at least 3 of those places wrong that I named.
That's fine.
So, but that could also be a game.
How
do you say this?
Right.
And hold it from the side. I don't know. I just think there's so many like sweet little treasures here that are local. So they're not franchised, which franchise is great and it has its place in the world. But also to your point of, celebrating entrepreneurs here in Wilmington, like it's everywhere.
It's everywhere, and it's not going to stop because Wilmington is growing rapidly.
Yeah.
It's amazing how many people I talk to, whether it's at a networking event or just here on the show, and I think it's beautiful that they chose our town to become their new home.
Yes.
Like, there's more traffic, or, if you ever talk to anyone at the chamber, wink, wink, we need a new bridge. So it's like the little things like that. But at the same time, there's something very beautiful about someone choosing your hometown, because I took it for granted. When I started talking to people, I'm like, you wanted to come here? But again, it's from the perspective, like, I look at Leland and that was just woods and how it's exploded now, and people are like, we just built our house out there, or and I'm just amazed.
It is. It's the reframe of everything. It's like, how lucky are we that people saw us to be special enough to come here? How, fortunate am I to be able to be from a town that people from all over the world want to be a part of.
Yeah.
So
something beautiful in that. And my last question to you, because we can literally talk about Wilmington all day long.
Oh yeah.
Before I ask my last one, you talked about Flamin' Amy's burrito, but they closed down? It was Flamin' Amy's bowl. That was my spot.
So good.
That was my spot, and they've closed down. So if anyone that knows the owner of Flamin' Amy's burrito, please tell him that Rhema T would love for them to open up the bowl. I loved that place.
Oh, I know. I feel like Florence just did such a number for so many places.
It did, but I mean, no one's in that building still, so I mean, like, just
might be something for you.
Oh, no. That was a nice thought, but no. Anyway, I always get on the topic of food. I love food. Anyway, my last question. What advice would you have to someone that's looking to be an entrepreneur?
Oh, gosh. I mean, there's so many things, right? So we talked about, getting your house in order.
Yeah.
And that I was a banker for a while. My mom was a career banker. So I think a passion and dreams and all of those things are delightful, and I think they're very important. It's a business decision, So what do the finances look like to do this? Can your house sustain the ramp-up period that it's going to take for you to get to where you need to be to pay your bills?
Right, right.
What will this look like in terms of structures and systems that need to be put in place to make this business happen? So I think that you should certainly dream and you should certainly have the passion. But at the end of the day, like, we need to make the numbers work.
Right.
Because if the numbers don't work, the dream's not going to take off.
Absolutely.
So get yourself a good CPA, get yourself a good friend who can get a business plan going for you. UNCW has also grown as our town's grown, and so there's a great center for innovation and entrepreneurship where they have mentors available. So it's not the sexiest part of it, but I mean,
the most important part.
It is. Get your house in order. And if you surround yourself with people who are the right people, you will find that you coming to them with an idea is not always going to be met with a no.
Right.
And I think that's what a lot of people hesitate with whenever they're like, I have an idea of something I want to do. I don't want the rejection.
Yeah.
The right people in your corner might say, I don't think this is it, but I think it might work if we do this.
Right.
And that's how you know that those are the people to stay close to throughout your entrepreneurial journey. You want people who can find a way to say yes to what your goals are and lead you in a way that's responsible.
Absolutely.
To get there. I think that is, when you're looking for the folks who can get your business off the ground, like that would be the key to choosing the right team, in my opinion.
No, that's a great answer. Surrounding yourself with the right people does wonders.
Yeah, well, Miss Connector, have we touched on that this season?
No, we didn't. We didn't, actually. What she's referencing is that I made the Biz 100 list. So that was really good. I don't even think I put that on social media or anything.
We need to.
I know.
Celebrate
I
the
told
wins.
you life was life.
I know,
so,
life is
but
life.
yes, life was life. But yes, I did receive that award because I love what I do. And Brittany loves what she does. And again, connecting yourself with the right people. Brittany is a great resource for people that are looking to learn how to do their business correctly. So if you are an entrepreneur here in Wilmington, or you do Zoom calls, right?
I do.
She does Zoom calls, so you don't have to be here in Wilmington. You can be anywhere. Make sure you support this local business. With that being said, we're wrapping up. I want to thank Brittany for coming on the show this week. I want to thank Elevate Co-working for this beautiful space, Vance, my producer with Truth and Image, and especially you for watching this episode. Until next time, go out and support a local business. I'm Rhema T. Bye. Hey guys, it's me, Rhema T, and I hope at the end of this episode you felt super inspired to shop within your local community. But make sure to tune in next week where I'll have another entrepreneur to talk about their journey, here only on YouTube.